Spooky ghosts and goblins are giving you a fright. All the heebie-jeebie boys are coming out at night. So gather round, big boys. We're going to the woods. Grab your best ghost hunting gear and we'll bring home the goods. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins.
Welcome to Growlers and Gremlins. I'm John, and with me this week I have
Brian.
Jason the Analyst.
And our guest this week,
Kevin the Marine, you fucks.
There we go. So our beer of the week this week is New Belgium Voodoo Ranger Atomic Pumpkin. Spicy release. It is a pumpkin ale with cinnamon and habaneros. Crack her open. It smells nice.
3 beers and 1 real man's drink. Nope.
Oh, that is good.
No, it's not.
That is so good.
No, it's not.
It tastes like a spicy pumpkin pie.
No, it doesn't.
Is it? Yeah, this actually is good.
Yeah, that's why I chose a pumpkin beer. Well, Kevin pointed it out to me at the store, but I love pumpkin beers, but they're super polarizing. You either love them or you just absolutely hate them.
That tastes like someone's going to get violated tonight. Brian.
Tastes like bad pumpkin bread.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah,
Because that spice at the back of your throat is just so nice.
I don't like the pumpkin flavor in general.
Exactly.
So
That's why it's polarizing.
yeah, it's got a nice pumpkin right up front, and then it just kind of, like you said,
It goes
bites
from
the back.
cinnamon to peppers. It's like, oh.
That's not what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm getting Jason's starting to look really good now.
Kevin is drinking bourbon this week. All right, so I want to tell you guys a little story.
Please tell us a story.
It's a fun story.
Hey.
So, in the late 1800s, a farmer by the name of George Brown lost almost all of his family to tuberculosis.
That'll teach him.
It was common at the time to blame several deaths in one family on the undead. So, the people of the town decided to exhume the bodies of every family member that died and search for signs of vampirism. So, when his daughter Mercy Brown's body was exhumed and didn't display severe decay, which was not surprising because her body was placed in an above-ground vault during winter in New England, the townspeople accused her of being a vampire and making her family sick from her icy grave.
And what you say to that?
Well, nothing, because they cut out her heart, burned it, and fed the ashes to her sick brother. But he died shortly after.
Really? That didn't work?
That bitch.
They thought the way to cure him would be
To feed him dead ashes.
feed him the heart of the evil undead that made him sick.
a little bit of charcoal, heal the boy up.
So, tales of supernatural beings consuming blood or flesh of the living have been found in nearly every culture around the world for centuries. The term vampire did not exist in ancient times, but blood drinking and similar activities were attributed to demons or spirits who would eat flesh and drink blood. Even the devil was considered synonymous with the vampire. So, yeah, we're going to talk about vampires.
All right.
Nice basic monster.
Oh boy.
I gotta get another sip.
So, basic bitch legend with basic bitch pumpkin spice.
Exactly.
Hey, this isn't basic. It has habaneros in it. It's a spicy beer. Brian keeps scooting his towards me, and I'm worried I'll accidentally pick it up.
Oh, that's right. You have a thing. You can't drink after someone else.
Yeah, he's a
No.
big bitch.
No, I mean, I can drink after some people. Like-
Why am I dirty?
Look at you, you fuck.
I don't know, Brian. Why are you dirty?
Why do you think I'm
You
dirty?
get one haircut a year. You wash your clothes twice a month.
Every weekend.
Twice a month.
Every weekend.
You only have 4 clothes, 4 items, clothing, including your underwear.
Nope. That means I have one outfit.
Exactly.
But he's got a big old pile of socks.
Crusty socks. Walking over to him. Use me this time, master.
So, anyway, the Persians were one of the first civilizations to have tales of blood-drinking demons. Creatures attempting to drink blood from men were depicted on excavated pottery shards. Ancient Babylonia and Assyria also had tales of the mythical Lilitu, synonymous with and giving rise to Lilith from Hebrew legend. And Lilith and her daughters were considered to be demons and were often depicted as subsisting on the blood of babies and estries. Female shape-shifting, blood-drinking demons were said to roam the night among the population seeking victims. So the idea of vampires has been around for a very long time.
Pretty much synonymous with getting married.
Yeah.
Sucking all the life out of you.
Well, I mean,
I guess
technically Lilith in like Hebrew mythology, Lilith was Adam's first wife. Yeah.
Even he knew that bitch wasn't worth it. You got to get a divorce. Tell us more, Brian.
What?
Never mind.
I thought that was going to go for Jason. I didn't expect my name to come out of your mouth with that one.
Well, that's because Jason's
about an awful first wife. Go to Brian.
Well, Jason's too easy to hit with that one.
Well, when you try to hit me with it, you miss by a fucking mile. Yeah. I'm not even in that area code.
Yeah, no shit. I'm sorry. Tell us about bad first boyfriends.
Well, I would say his first wife would be inflatable, wouldn't it?
Ooh.
No.
Ooh. No, but it's alive now. It's all that,
Spiders.
all that DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get the spiders.
Okay, so vampires rose to popularity in mainstream culture in 1897 with the release of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which you're all familiar with Dracula.
Right.
And a lot of people assume that Dracula is based on Vlad Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. Vlad Dracula was born in Transylvania, Romania. He ruled Wallachia, Romania, off and on from 1456 to 1462.
Fucker couldn't keep a job.
Was it actually
Yeah,
Dracula?
I don't really get why it was off and on, but then only for like a 6-year period.
Was it Vlad Dracula or Vlad Tempest?
What?
Vladimir Tempest? Didn't he have a different name?
Vlad Dracula.
Oh, okay. Damn you, modern day fiction. Fucking with
Anyway,
my brain.
some historians describe him as a just yet brutally cruel ruler who valiantly fought off the Ottoman Empire. He earned his nickname because his favorite way to kill his enemies was to impale them on a wooden stake. According to legend, Vlad Dracula enjoyed dining amidst his dying victims and dipping his bread in their blood. So, whether that's true or not is
Gotta get some rusty blood, I guess.
unknown.
He needed more iron in his diet.
Yeah, and so they assume that Dracula is based on him because Dracula, from the book, was also from Transylvania and sucked his victim's blood and could be killed by driving a stake through his heart. You know,
Like every other person.
impaled on a wooden stake. Yeah, but
If we can kill you with a stake through the heart, that means you're a vampire. Yeah, or any other fucking person, you dumb motherfuckers.
that's the thing. They say that part's like they don't know if that's true or not, that he would like have his dinner around his dying victims and dip his bread in their blood, but like I feel like that's gotta be true, because I mean, like, what a power move. Like, I would do that.
Yeah, why make that up? Like,
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you look at modern day fiction, they make up some pretty fucked up stuff,
Yeah,
like the Hostel and stuff like that.
that
Well, that's not made up. That actually happened.
Brian knows he was there.
yeah. But before the book, vampire superstition had thrived in the Middle Ages, especially as the plague was going around,
The Dark Ages.
because the disease would often leave behind bleeding mouth lesions on its victims, which to the uneducated was a sure sign of vampirism. So they've got these lesions that have blown open and they're bleeding, and it looks almost like someone bit you and sucked all your blood out.
I guess also if you died with like bleeding gums, it would look like there's blood coming from your mouth. And
So another thing that people assume may have brought about the vampire legends was a misunderstanding of a condition called porphyria, which is a blood disorder that can cause severe blisters on the skin that's exposed to sunlight. And yeah, basically you go out in the sun, you start blistering and stuff, so you're a vampire. But also, the symptoms of porphyria can temporarily be relieved by ingesting blood. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, I never heard that before.
But so it's possible that there were people who could not go out in the sun and were drinking blood as medication. So vampires, essentially. Whenever a suspected vampire died, their bodies were often disinterred to search for signs of vampirism, just like with Mercy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't very decomposed, so definitely a vampire. And in some cases, they would thrust a stake through the corpse's heart just to make sure they stayed dead. So, that's where the legend came from. Oh, you kill a vampire by putting a stake through its heart. It's because they would dig people up and be like, just to be sure they're dead, they'd hammer a stake through their heart.
Which...
It's like shooting the body at, just to make sure. Grandpa's already in the casket, but let's just put one through the skull just to really hammer home.
Yeah. So they later ended up switching to decapitation or burning the corpses as like a more surefire way of making sure they stay dead.
Yeah, I think I remember something about they would cut the head off and then stuff the mouth with garlic and then put it in the casket with it. Yeah.
Honestly, I could not find the origin of the whole garlic thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's so many things that...
They used it as a garnish on their food, and they were like, we can put it on this, we can put it on that, whatever.
There's so many weird things like in
vampire.
The vampire legends that don't really seem to have a clear origin.
Like that they can't cross running water.
That's what I was going to say.
They can't come into your house unless invited.
One of the things I thought about when I was reading about that they can't cross running water, is if you remember in the Twilight series, the border of their territory, where they divided their territory between them and the werewolves, was a river.
I didn't know that.
The vampires couldn't cross it.
Are you sure you're not a teenage girl?
I was just... I remembered that when I read that. I was like, wait a minute.
Because Team Jacob all the way.
No.
If you live on an island, does that count as running water
Both
between
Edward
you?
and Jacob were creepy as fuck.
Team Edward.
Neither.
I
did actually watch all those movies a couple years ago.
I just
They're not
remember,
bad.
man, I want to fuck that baby. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Jacob imprinting on a baby. Like,
Oh, I thought Brian was just...
No shit, I thought Brian was just flying by the seat of his pants.
no, I was just,
like, what?
Looked at your daughter and thinking, oh, I want to fuck that baby.
The imprinting thing was really weird. But like the movie series, the first movie is terrible. But they did get better. Like,
Until you realize that the last fight scene it was all a dream.
yeah, they're still pretty empty garbage movies, but you can get through them.
Although I will
they're
admit, when they
entertaining
went
enough.
to wherever the fuck Vampire Council is, and you see them walking out, and that tour group's walking in, it's like, oh, that's fucked up.
Oh, it was a meal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you hear the screams.
I haven't seen them in a long time, but I just
remember that one because there was this little blonde kid that was like skipping all happily. It's like, you dumb bastard.
Reveal coming to you.
He was a child.
but no, vampires shouldn't sparkle. That's just wrong on so many levels.
We're not helping you
Cool.
on that one.
All right, cool.
No, no.
All right.
Sit
Is
there
it
and
the
suffer in that
portion
one.
of the episode where we get to talk about fictional vampires? Because I want to go into Blade.
No, I got one more. I got one more story to tell you guys, and it's actually pretty cool. So vampires, back in they made a comeback in pop culture.
The 30s.
This was in it was actually right around the time of Dracula. I can't remember exactly what year it was. I didn't bother to save that portion, but there was a headline that read, "Human Vampire, Horrible Practices of a Deranged Portuguese Sailor." And the story was describing a more or less routine transfer of a prisoner from the Ohio Penitentiary to the National Asylum at Washington, D.C., now known as St. Elizabeth's Hospital. They mentioned that he was deranged and fought like a tiger. When the federal marshals came to take him, he apparently thought that he was going to be hanged. 6 guards were needed to hold him down long enough to be dressed and to secure him for the transfer.
Why was he undressed?
I have no idea. He was a strange guy.
He was getting his punishment early.
Well, the reason that it had that headline was because of his bizarre backstory. So he was known only by the name of James Brown. No one knew if that was his real name or not, but he was in prison because he had been convicted of 2 murders 25 years before. So, okay, I can figure out the date. What's it? 1860? Okay, so this would have been 1893 or 1894. 2 when this happened, or when the article came out. So he was described as a Portuguese sailor, but in some sources he's listed as being from Guyana. He was part of a fishing crew that sailed out of Boston in 1867. It was a 35-man ship, the crew. I don't know all the terms for boats, but during the course of the trip, he had gotten into an argument with a man named James Foster. Afterwards, James Foster went missing. Nobody had any idea what had happened to him. Then, not long after, another crewman went missing. So they started a whole ship-wide search to try and figure out if they were on the ship or if they'd gone overboard, but they just wanted to rule out they're on the ship. And supposedly, with this second crewman, James Brown was caught in the act of sucking all of the blood out of his corpse after having killed him. So, yeah, they assume that, well, we caught him sucking the blood out of this guy. Obviously, he killed James Foster as well, and probably in the same way. The guy's clearly a vampire.
Right.
So...
yeah, clearly that's what it was.
Yeah. So he was arrested, and he was convicted of murder and sentenced to be hanged. And he was going to be hanged in October of 1866, but then there was an appeal sent to President Andrew Johnson that resulted in his sentence being commuted to life imprisonment instead of hanging. So he was sent to the penitentiary in Charlestown, Massachusetts. Brown became well known for his peculiar and at times alarming behavior. Along with being paranoid about anyone who tried entering his cell, he was also vigilant about his few possessions, especially a Latin book which he used to store important documents. This included the commutation order signed by the president that said, he's not going to be hanged. So he was described as a small, dark-skinned man who... when enraged, his eyes would shine out like coals of fire. Guards were acutely aware of the crimes of which he had been convicted, and as well as his tendency to lash out at anyone who upset him. So they were all very afraid of him. So as a result of not wanting to deal with him because they were afraid of him, he spent 13 years in solitary. And at one point, he even killed a prison guard. And I believe it was with a fork. So,
is this John Wick?
Yeah, but so
John Wick was a pencil.
No shit.
He was believed to have been insane, so they sent him away to a psychiatrist for evaluation, and they determined him to be sane and sent him back to prison because they weren't sure if he needed to be in an asylum. And the reasons they thought he was insane was because he would write letters to the president all the time. This was at the point that Grover Cleveland was president. And he would write things like, he would claim to be the president of New York Central Railroad and be very rich. He offered billions of dollars to have certain of his enemies brought to justice and $150 a day to have servants provide his meals. But nobody took him up on this.
Gee, I wonder why.
He also once claimed to be Thomas Azodi James Brown, warden of the Ohio Penitentiary, in which he called for 1 barrel of potatoes, 1 barrel of onions, and a barrel of apples. Another time, he refused to eat for days at a time because he insisted that his ex-girlfriend had touched his food.
I mean, I wouldn't touch anything my ex-wife touched, so...
Yeah, no shit.
Anyway, he also, when not, writing letters or attacking guards, he would spend most of his time scrubbing the floor of his cell with a pumice stone. And he also never shaved or clipped his fingernails and grew nails like talons.
Again, this sounds like Brian.
Yeah.
Dirty, unshaven bastard.
I shave? What are you talking about?
So, yeah, this crazy guy, he killed 2 people, sucked the blood out of them, and he's supposed to be a vampire, and they have him in prison. He's crazy and all that. But it turns out people have actually gone through the court documents because they're actually available.
Right.
And it turns out that what actually happened was he only killed one person, and it was James Foster in the initial fight. James Foster used a racial slur, and so...
Which one?
You could assume.
I can assume a lot. You got to narrow it down.
James Brown was a small, dark-skinned man.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Anyway, it doesn't say what exact slur he
Hold
said.
on, I'll just go through the list. You tell me when I get to the right one.
But anyway, so James Foster used a racial slur when they were fighting, and so James Brown stabbed him in the chest. And that was essentially it. But
Suck the blood out of the wound.
due to the witnesses and the time period, he was charged with 2 counts of murder, and it only took a few minutes for the jury to convict.
And he was incarcerated how long?
For life.
For life? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's a raw deal.
But it's an interesting, supposed story of a real life vampire, and apparently James Brown's story was actually what inspired Dracula.
Oh.
Which, interesting. So it had to have been a combination of Vlad the Impaler and James Brown, but experts on Bram Stoker say that Vlad the Impaler had nothing to do with it.
Oh.
And it's just coincidence.
Where was Bram Stoker? I thought that was...
He was Irish.
Yeah, so he took inspiration from an American story?
Mhm.
Okay, I guess.
Word spread.
True.
Well, this did take place at sea, so, at first, didn't it?
Yeah,
I
this took place
stopped
at
listening
sea.
to you after the third word.
I don't know where they were going exactly, but it was a fishing vessel. But also you have your modern day vampires. The
Not the gay ones.
the what?
Not the gay sparkly ones. Got the blade ones.
Oh
the
no,
fun
I'm
one.
talking about like the weird goth people you used to see on the news in the early 2000s that like claim to drink blood from like
Carry a little razor
willing
blade
donors
around.
and yeah.
Are you
And,
talking about the one South Park made fun of?
probably.
Like Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton with their little vials around their neck.
I have no idea.
Never heard about that?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
The story that they had little vials of each other's blood because they were so much in love.
Really?
Yes.
They were together at one point?
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, probably when you were 6.
Yeah, that's gross.
Back when the rest of us still thought she was hot.
Angelina Jolie and Sling Blade. But, you got those people that, claim to drink blood, and then also the psychic vampires, that feed off of people's energy. And, it's all just kind of stupid, but I mean, who knows? Maybe out there somewhere.
Lucky you married the one that was both.
Maybe out there somewhere there really were like blood-sucking demons and stuff, and
Right next
that's
to
the origin of it all. But I mean, it seems pretty clear to be the plague stuff.
right
and
next to the
Porphyria.
dragons.
Right. Like in the past, I've said, it was dragons. How does this story pop up in multiple locations?
Mhm.
But in this one, it seems to do have like a central cause as far as medical conditions.
Well, the
and-
Middle Ages stuff is clear, but the thing about like blood-sucking things before the term vampire and all that was worldwide.
Really?
That's because
I don't-
animals do that.
Vampire bats.
That could be a
Yeah.
simple explanation for it. But
So you have all the plague stuff, diabetes. Once it's advanced far enough, will make a person pale, like ashen.
Where the fuck are you getting your information?
Kevin, you are
it
looking
was
pretty
a-
ashy today.
No, like so far advanced. I can't remember what I was reading it in, but they were like, it was just something that like explained away monsters or something. They were like, yeah, it turned, like if you're in the Middle Ages and you had diabetes and you didn't know how, and it advanced so far, you would become like paper white at some point, and you wouldn't be able to eat anything or something weird. I can't remember.
I imagine you just die.
Oh, yeah, you die.
Yeah.
Go blind.
But one of the things I was thinking about when I was researching for this is, could you survive on blood?
No, you can't.
And you can. So as long as you take a multivitamin.
Yeah, so you can't survive on blood.
As long as you take a
No,
multivitamin.
it's can
It's
you survive
conditional.
on blood? Yeah, there's condition because you vomit up blood because blood is
Only if you take in too much at once.
yeah.
I love these kind
But-
of arguments between these two jackasses.
The average like donation bag is 500 milliliters, and in that 500 milliliters, you've got 460 calories, and it's almost 100% protein. A little bit of carbs, a little bit of fat, but it's mostly protein.
How much iron is there?
A lot. But anyway, the 500 milliliter bag of blood, if you draw it in the correct way, has a shelf life of 6 weeks. So, preppers, you keep making more blood. So what you should do is about once a week, draw yourself a couple bags of blood, throw them in the fridge, and there's 6 weeks there where you've got some little 460 calorie meal packs.
I'm gonna say I think they make like protein bars that are better than those, and you don't have to.
This is free. Your body makes it.
Yeah, until you infect yourself and get blood poisoning and die because you don't know how to draw blood out of yourself correctly.
It's not that hard.
It's really not.
It's not. It's not. But
Just
you
clean needle. You can get them for free thanks to the drug addicts.
But
Thank you, heroin users.
Yeah, you can get free clean needles.
And free sex.
aren't there some cultures that will eat like beef blood and stuff like that?
No, tons of people eat animal
So
blood.
there is ways of preparing the blood, I guess.
Yeah, with other
You can make a
food.
blood pudding. You can make blood sausages. You can do a lot of things. You can even dry it out, let it clot, and make a protein powder out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go right into that coffee. Mocha.
Yeah.
That's what that bottle looks like. Mocha coffee.
But I was thinking
blood.
about that. If you want to be really dedicated and you're really desperate, you know, you think something bad's going to happen, go ahead and stash away some of your blood to drink.
I don't know. I think I'll stick to the buckets of freeze-dried food.
You'll run out. And you'll be begging for blood.
John tries this, fucking almost kills himself.
Drew too much.
He's got to start drinking it back in, hoping it'll work.
Everett finds you lying on the floor. He's staring up, asking for
John's got
help.
like 8 bags on the wall. He's like, I could get one more and still be
I
good.
can't drink any more of it because I start vomiting, so I start giving myself blood enemas just to get some of it back in me.
Everett, you got some blood in you. Hello.
I just picture you like at your grill with like a blood bag and like roasting peppers to make a hot sauce out of your own blood.
Yeah. That'd be a kind of hardcore.
Because you've been making hot sauces out of just about anything lately.
Yeah, I've got plans for a honey habanero hot sauce right now.
Well, you made hot sauce out of peach rings. And
Mm-hmm. And it was delicious. But yeah, I just want to talk about vampires because I've always thought they were stupid. And I still do. I'm just not into it, like the whole idea of it, because it was just kind of ruined by the types of people that would like wear cat ears and a tutu to school. You know what I mean? Like it just got overrun with like goths and grossness. So like
Well, that's Twilight's fault.
no, pre-Twilight. Twilight is what made it like a mainstream like cutesy thing.
Right.
I mean, pre-Twilight was like before we were 10.
Twilight came out when we were in high school.
Did it?
Yeah.
I thought the last book came out when we were in high school.
Mm-mm.
It was there in middle school. I know that.
I don't know.
So I was like 12 when the first one came out.
The book or the movie though?
I'm talking about the book.
Oh,
Dude, the girls
who cares about the books? The books don't matter. It's all about the movie.
The girls read the books, man.
After the movies came out.
Either or. Well, I knew a lot of... My
Yeah.
sister fucking read it, and I thought, it's like, wow, you're a big...
It was one of those book series that like took off after the movie. You know what I
For
mean?
some reason, even though the movie was awful.
Yeah, same with Hunger Games. I didn't really hear much about the Hunger Games until after the movies. And then everyone was like, oh, I gotta read the Hunger Games, you know?
And that started off this whole thing of trying to convert every young adult book into
Battle Royale.
And young adult books became a cash cow of a genre.
Yeah.
Like they're garbage
Divergent
quality. They're
and
terrible.
just a
But
few
people
others.
just pump them out for money.
I don't know. I thought the first Maze Runner was pretty cool.
I never saw
Of course
that
you
one.
did.
I just like the idea of kids getting ripped apart by giant flesh beasts.
I didn't see that one. That sounds interesting.
So, what else did you want to talk about with vampires? Like, when we talk about, like,
I don't know. I just think vampires are stupid.
Let's talk about Blade. Let's go before you fucking...
Yeah, let's let Brian talk about Blade.
I don't care that much.
I've never seen Blade.
You ever seen Blade?
No.
I don't think I've seen the first two
I'm not
either.
really into vampire stuff.
I've seen the one with Ryan Reynolds in it all the way through a couple times.
I liked What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
You liked, it's still on.
No, the original.
Oh,
I haven't really watched the new one yet.
I don't know what the original is though.
What was the one that had Johnny Depp in it?
That was
A vampire movie with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a remake of an old soap opera.
It was really
Dark
bad.
Shadows.
Yeah, Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
That movie was awful.
Yeah, I didn't finish it.
Never seen it.
Fuck you, and fuck you.
You liked that movie?
I kind of like the original. I remember watching
Well,
it
that's
when I was a
fine if
kid.
you like the original, but that movie was garbage.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I don't know. Just vampires. I just think they're stupid. I don't
Just a big old
I don't
literary
get
device.
the appeal. Yeah, it's just kind of
They're
a story
the
thing.
monster.
They're overdone.
It's for women to,
Imagine like a deadly sexual encounter.
some man comes up and makes you do what
Yeah.
you really want to do anyway.
Yeah, like 50 Shades.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never read it or
Oh.
saw the movies.
Dude, 50 Shades, that's one that book took off before those movies were even announced.
That's
I
because
remember
it was
Yeah, I
a.
know.
I was working at a
Mommy
bookstore when
porn.
that book
It
came
was
out.
a what is it?
Mommy
Middle-a-
porn.
Yeah, it was a middle-aged wife novel.
But yeah, vampires.
So,
John, we've been going for like 20 minutes.
yeah.
Has it
After
really
all the
been that
killing.
short?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't elaborate on your hatred for vampires.
Well, I just
I mean,
don't-
we could jump into fictional vampires and start
like,
just
we offered you that
running
chance.
down. Well, I was hoping you'd have some more.
Who is
because
your favorite fictional vampire, Brian?
Go ahead.
He's not a vampire. He's a
Say
werewolf.
Lestat, you fairy.
Look
Look at him. You can't think of anybody but Lestat now.
I don't know who Lestat is.
I don't know who Lestat is either. What's that?
Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, I haven't
Anne
seen
Rice.
that.
Never
The
seen
whole,
it.
the whole like 15 book novel series.
I haven't seen like any vampire movies or
So
read
why
like
did
any
you, of all
vampire
people,
books
pick vampires?
because I don't like them.
Okay, then.
Just like
I wanted
his-
to challenge myself.
You failed.
you did like a half an hour talk on why you didn't like accents better than you did with something you actually don't like.
Well, because it's just like the information is so widely known. So, like, I did find the two stories I thought were interesting about James Brown and Mercy Brown, coincidentally. Because I heard the James Brown story recently, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't hear the actual truth of it.
Have you ever seen the vampire movie Once Bitten?
No, never heard of it.
Jim Carrey
Okay.
stars as a young virgin in L.A., and he comes to the attention of, I think her name was not Lauren Bacall, Lauren Hutton, as a 300-year-old vampire who needs the blood of a virgin to stay alive, stay young. That's the whole movie.
I think
Him trying to get laid and her trying to suck his blood.
I think all the vampire movies that I've seen are Twilight, Priest. Yeah, those are vampires.
Are they?
Yeah.
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 And what was that one? It was called like Daywalkers or something.
Daywalkers
Yeah.
with
That movie was good. I actually liked that
the one
one.
with Wesley Snipes as a cowboy.
No. This one was like everybody was a vampire.
Almost everybody. They were
Yeah.
hunting down the final few humans, but they were like, there's like a blood shortage, and they're rationing it out to the vampires.
With Ethan Hawke. And,
That one. What was that called? Was that Daywalkers?
I think so.
Nightwalkers?
it might have been-
It might have been Daywalkers, but it also had William Dafoe.
That
Yeah.
was a great movie. We can't talk about Willem Dafoe anymore.
Why not?
Willem Dafoe is giant dick.
Why not?
What?
Why not? Why can't
We
you?
had a really long rant about Willem Dafoe in an episode, and I
We had
don't
to
think
cut
we even released the episode.
No, we didn't even release the episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my episode.
Yeah, we were talking about Willem Dafoe for like half an hour.
Let me guess. He's just fascinated by the idea of his huge cock.
No, we were critiquing his.
Oh,
we ended up finding pictures.
That did come up.
It was oversold to us and
but
underwhelming.
So fuck. I'm still trying to think. Like I just looked up one that I'd forgotten about, and there was Vamp from Metal Gear Solid 4.
it wasn't
pretty cool.
Daywalkers. It was Daybreakers.
Daybreakers, which reminds me, what happened to the whole Mobius movie thing? Is that ever coming
It's
out?
still happening.
It's still, as far as anybody knows, it's still ready
I actually want to see that one.
Start coming.
Which that's not even like a traditional vampire. That's
That's
a scientific
genetic.
experiment gone wrong.
Yeah.
Fucking Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunters.
Never saw it.
That's fucking good, actually.
Is it?
It's a good fighting movie.
Yeah.
As an action movie, it's great.
The premise is so fucking stupid, but they made it work.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
what
there's
was
really
that?
not a lot of vampire movies,
There are.
but I just don't.
Abbott and Costello meet Dracula.
Oh,
What?
I'm bringing shit back that I watched when I was a kid. Abbott and Costello meet
You saw that
Dracula.
in theaters.
Fuck.
Basically.
Who's the guy from Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park? Who's that actor?
Oh, I can never remember that guy's name.
Oh,
He's just the Jurassic Park guy.
Jurassic Park. I don't remember his name, but he was in another vampire movie. But this
Sam Neill.
one, Sam Neill. He was in. It was one where like vampires. There was a big war between vampires and humanity because people found out vampires were real, and they were like, "Fuck, we got to just like exterminate." And the vampires ended up winning the war, so society went on as normal as vampire run, and they're using all these humans as like feeding cows, and they're like draining them, sucking them dry of blood. And he runs this big corporation that's just like putting these people into comatose states and sucking them dry. And the whole movie is about like trying to protect this one human family from these catchers that are gonna kill them all. It's really funny.
I do remember now my favorite fictional vampire. It's Cassidy from Preacher.
Yeah.
He's an Irish vampire, and like he's a drug addict, and he has like healing abilities like Wolverine. And so like at one point in the show, to torture him, they start a cosmetics company and make the cosmetics from his foreskin, and they have him strapped to a machine that just circumcises him as fast as he heals.
Well, no one's mentioned Underworld.
I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah, neither have I.
What the fuck?
Why would I?
They were popular, at least. I mean,
Before my time.
Fucking the priest vampires.
that was mentioned already.
Priest or preacher?
Priest. The movie Priest.
The one. Am I thinking of the wrong
We
one?
were talking about that a few
Talking
minutes
about
ago.
the dude, like the fucking Jedi that work for the church that fight that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Priest.
Did
Yeah.
we? Okay.
That's Priest. Yeah, he mentioned it
I didn't
briefly.
know.
Yeah. That was a terrible movie.
It was.
It looked like it was going to be amazing, and it just sucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of looked like a Matrix ripoff, the way that they the
That's
long.
kinda
What's
what-
wrong with that?
Oh, okay.
Like, I would be excited for a Matrix ripoff.
They should have
But that
stopped
movie
after
was
the
just
first
bad.
one.
Well, the problem with Priest is like you get to this point where you're like, oh, it's finally taken off. It's finally getting good, and then the movie ends.
Right.
And it's like, oh,
Well, I think they had
that was
planned-
the climax?
I think they had plans to continue it in more movies, but just they didn't do well enough. They just never did.
I can't remember the fucking. There was a graphic novel I read a long time ago where they had Jesus fighting vampires, and the church
Jesus
was.
Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, maybe was that what it was actually called?
I might have been.
I don't remember, but I just remember that at the end of the volume that I read, they're like, "Oh, the vampires! How are we going to defeat them?" And it turns out the church has like hundreds of clones of Jesus, just ready to go be like paladin and out into the wasteland to fight these vampires. And the vampires all have like slave people, but they all have straws that go right into their necks, so they can just come up and suck out a little bit. It's weird. I thought it was a good novel, but I don't know what the fuck it was. I just thought it was funny, and it made me. We were just it's vampires.
It's modern vampires. They carry around Capri Sun straws. Just put them in your jugular.
Not even that. They look like bendy straws.
Oh, so like high C juice boxes.
Yeah.
I read this book called They Thirst, I think it was called, or Night Thirst, about this Vietnam.
Night thirst.
Yeah, this Vietnam vet who, what was it? The Catholic Church had imprisoned a bunch of old vampires on a island off the coast of Seattle, and they forgot about them. Some college kids come in there, open them up. These fuckers drain their blood, and then it's like a zombie apocalypse all over the fucking island. They bit someone, came back as a vampire, go bite someone, and this guy, this Vietnam vet, he doesn't get bit, but he's fighting the master vampire, punches him in the mouth, gets punctured in the side of the hand, turns into a vampire.
Nice.
So it's just an anywhere bite.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's always been an anywhere bite. It's just it's traditionally the neck.
Yeah.
Oh.
He didn't get any blood sucked out of him, so he could survive the bite. But then they go into Seattle and turn it into a ghost town by infecting everybody.
You go the Twilight route. Oh, it was a prequel to Twilight.
No.
Go the Twilight route. Vampires have venom that they inject into you.
That's how that fucking works?
In Twilight, yeah.
Jesus.
That's why at one point he sucks venom out of Bella so that she doesn't turn into a vampire.
Yeah, I think there's varying different ways of turning people in like the different stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them, I think, like Interview with a Vampire, they had to drink from the vampire after being bitten. So, and then I think like in like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you have to die first before becoming the vampire.
There's in Monster Hunter International in the series, there's two different types of vampires. And I think it was what you were talking about having to actually drink from the vampire. And so, like, vampires will go create a whole bunch of, like, just these zombie drone vampires that are...
The thralls.
Basically useless. But then sometimes they'll, make upgraded vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Way to kill a subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you told me that you wanted to do this topic at work, you sounded excited. I'm like, all right, he's going to have an episode for this.
I just wanted to talk about, like,
Twilight.
using blood to prep.
That's the whole reason. Just that one little snippet.
That was the whole reason. I was just thinking about that. I was like, you could store your own blood and use it as, like, a protein shake. Little meals.
All right, Jason, what's your favorite vampire?
Well, I'm not going to say Lestat anymore.
Still don't know who that is.
But no, I watched a lot of
Tom Cruise is in the movie.
Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer growing up. So
No shit.
Ooh.
Spike and Angel and all them. But
You probably had one of those necklaces that's made out of little ball bearings.
yes, I did. And I even had frosted tips back in the day when I still had hair.
Frost your beard.
Is that what you did, Kevin?
Yeah, that's what I did, man. Yeah. I can never get it out.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be the only man here with a real beard now?
Ball bearing necklace and frosted tips. I want to see that, Jason.
That one he still had hope.
No.
I'm always right about these things.
But yeah, ball bearing necklace, frosted tips, Jinko jeans. Yeah.
I don't know what Jinko jeans are.
Oh, they were just these huge baggy jeans, and they had like a little flame design on the back pocket, and they said Jinko.
That was optional. You didn't have to have that.
You paid for the upgrade.
You fucking flamer.
Oh man, and that was back when like you'd wear like skate shoes that were really puffy,
Everything.
Or was that Converse days?
Yeah,
you'd wear Chucks with your big baggy
I wore
jeans.
a lot of Chucks.
Yeah.
Everything was puffy on him.
Yeah. It's funny too, that combo. You have the baggiest jeans with like the smallest, skinniest shoe.
It's not like anybody's going to see the shoe anyway.
I know.
Or the tightest t-shirt.
Oh yeah, the tight t-shirts with the huge baggy jeans.
Mm-hmm.
No, I never did that. I wore the silky shirts from Hot Topic. The silky
shirts that had the flames and dragons and stuff on them.
Flames and dragons and Spider-Man. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm going to move over here away from this loser.
If you were a little younger, you'd have had a Naruto headband.
Yeah, it's like, so there's me like that, and then like everyone else in my high school was like, oh, I drove my tractor to school, or I'm going hunting this weekend. I'm like, yeah, I belong here.
Yeah.
There's a reason you got beat up every week.
I actually never did.
There's nothing wrong with a Naruto headband.
Oh, what's that movie about witches?
Unless you actually wear it in public.
What, the Craft? What?
Yeah, The Craft. You probably loved that movie.
No, I didn't see it till much later.
Oh, I've never seen it. I don't like those movies. There's one movie that I absolutely despise about witches called Practical Magic.
I thought it was going to be Hansel and Gretel.
No.
That's about killing witches. Do you like that movie?
Which one? There's so many.
The one with Hawkeye.
Jeremy Renner.
Oh, that was fun. Renner.
I don't fucking care.
But no, there was one that just came out like last year.
Was there?
Yeah, it was creepy. It might have just been called Gretel. I don't know. But it was like...
Oh, that's the actual, like, black horror one where the witch...
it was creepy.
Yeah, I remember the preview because she's
It's
sitting there, like,
African American horror, you
locks
fucking racist.
She's pulling, like, a whole strand of long hair out of her mouth.
Yeah, it was like... It had kind of the feel of, like, the Vavitch. It might have been that same director. I don't know. But it was okay. Not great, but okay. Anyway...
You stretched that out to 35 minutes.
Yeah. Way to have
Sometimes we have a short one. We're coming off of an hour and a half long episode last week, so...
Yeah.
Really moving up on the fucking chart here with John and his excitement about the topic he hates, apparently.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Don't like vampires. I just...
Wait till you hear my other one. I don't like it either.
Zombies?
No.
No, that's mine, and I have no research.
Well,
Anyway.
it's fucking research. It's all bullshit.
Well, I wanted to do some. There is some historical context. We'll talk about it.
Are we going to talk about the 28 days later zombies? Are we going to talk about the 28 weeks later?
We'll get
Day
to
of the
it.
Dead?
We'll get to it next week.
Next week? No, we got to talk about vampires. I think I found out my favorite.
And on that
I
disappointment,
guess we're just fucking ending.
he wants you to say the line. He's like,
No, he
shut
can
up.
fuck off. He's cutting it early, just like the fucking shooting trip.
Have fun, everybody.